In the first lesson in the equine nutrition course, we're going to talk about the most important quote unquote nutrient for a horse, or water. We're going to identify what a horse's needs are and how that may change, what a horse uses water for, how it loses water, and then what happens if the horse doesn't get enough water. Most horses will drink between 5 and 10 gallons of water a day, depending on their age, outside temperature, feed, and losses due to sweat or diarrhea. So obviously smaller horses will require less water. Older horses will tend to drink less water. The outside temperature, if it's very hot, they'll drink more. If it's very cold, they won't. Their type of feed or forage. So fresh green grass will have a higher water content than dried hay. And then losses due to sweat or diarrhea. Obviously, if a horse is sweating a lot or losing a lot of water through diarrhea, their requirements will change. Water constitutes 65 to 70% of the horse's body weight of an adult horse and 75 to 80% of a foal's. Now, primarily water aids in digestion and eliminating waste through the kidneys and urine. A horse in light work will lose 18% of his water in urine, 51% of his water in feces or manure, and 31% in sweat and respiration. Now, obviously, that 31% may change depending on the level of work. The severity of work can increase a horse's water requirement from between 20 to 300%. Now, if a horse doesn't get enough water, dehydration sets in. A horse in good health should be able to survive 5 or 6 days without water. After day 2 or 3, though, you're going to start noticing symptoms. If a horse isn't drinking water, he will also stop eating. This is a biological evolutionary defense mechanism, because if there isn't enough water in his body to help move along the manure, he's at risk of an impaction colic. You'll start to notice signs of dehydration when the horse loses over 5% of his body weight. So in a 1,000-pound animal, that's about 6 gallons. You can see how in cases with very high temperatures or excess sweating from exercise or diarrhea, how that 6 gallons could actually happen pretty quickly. So the signs of dehydration. If you have a horse at rest, not running, not moving, not being crazy, and he has a heart rate of over 60 beats per minute, that's cause for alarm. If he's giving you colicky symptoms like biting at his sides or just seeming kind of depressed, you might want to think it could be a sign of dehydration. If his gums and his mouth are pink or blue, this is also a sign that there's not enough water in his blood. So if it's pink, it's a sign of slight dehydration. But if you've got blue gums, the horse's body is already in shock. Likewise, slow capillary refill time. If you push into his gums, there should be a white spot where your finger was, but when you remove it, it should flush back to normal color within a second or two. If this is taking longer than a second or two, it's taking 3, 4, 5 seconds, it's time to call the vet. Tenting skin as well. So this means just in front of the horse's shoulder, you want to pinch up a portion of his skin and see how quickly it bounces back to normal. In a healthy horse, it should bounce back almost immediately, maybe a second or two, depending on the age of the horse. But if it stays tented, this is a sign of dehydration. Now, on a side note, withholding fluids from a horse for a few days is actually one of the shady horse dealers' ways to make a horse more docile without the obvious signs of drugging. So if you're trying out a new horse and he seems very docile, go ahead and tent the skin to make sure he isn't actually just dehydrated. So cautions when it comes to providing water for your horse. You should always provide as much free fresh water as possible. In the winter, they will tend to drink less, just the same way we do. We don't want to drink cold water when it's 10 degrees outside. Um, Likewise, if they've got a bad or cracked tooth, that cold water will be painful on it and they will drink even less. A tank warmer, you get them for buckets or for the big troughs in the field, can help encourage them to drink more. Horses on alfalfa hay will need to drink more as well because alfalfa is very high in nitrogen and their body will need to eliminate the excess nitrogen, so they will actually urinate more. Automatic waters are super handy and convenient, but they don't let you monitor how much water your horse is intaking, and they won't give you a heads up if something is different. So whether you stall your horse or have them outside, you'll get into a rhythm with how much your horse drinks, how quickly the buckets are emptying, how quickly the trough empties, and you'll start to notice if the bucket was full in the morning, is usually empty in the afternoon, but you go to turn out in the afternoon and it's still full. So weigh those two options, automatic waters versus troughs. Well water is preferred to a stream or pond water because those can be contaminated with bacteria or feces of wildlife. With the free choice water, you should also provide free choice access to salts and electrolytes, because if a horse is sweating a lot or has diarrhea and they drink a lot to replenish that loss, but without the salts and electrolytes, that balance can get thrown off, and then you've got another set of issues. So always provide a salt block or a mineral block. Your horse will do a great job of replenishing the salts that he needs. He'll replenish the exact amount that he needs as long as he has free access to it. A lot of people complain that when they're traveling, going to a show or a trail ride or an event, their horse will not drink the local water. And that's because it may smell or taste different than they're used to. And again, evolution is telling them, hey, this may be contaminated if it doesn't taste like the water I'm used to. So they can stop drinking. You can either flavor the water with some Gatorade or pour in some horse-specific electrolytes to kind of encourage them to get over that aversion. Start practicing this at home, though, so that when you're on the road, your horse will be used to Gatorade-flavored water or electrolyte-flavored water. And if you have a very hot horse, we're talking polo pony, endurance horse, one that's exercising a lot. You don't want to let them have free choice cold water because they can drink more than they should, which can cause them some discomfort in their stomach. It actually won't cause, there's a old wives' tale that it'll cause them to colic and founder. It's not necessarily true, but you do want to cool a horse down when they're very hot and let them drink maybe a gallon at a time. So let them drink some water, hand walk them to cool them down, let them drink a little bit more, hand walk them to cool them down. Just like human athletes, if you ran a marathon, you have a hard time eating or drinking right afterwards. Your body is still in exercise mode, and it's actually moved blood away from your digestive system. So you want to introduce that water slowly.